Stop trying to get rich. Stop searching for passive income hacks. The finance gurus are lying to you. The crypto bros are selling you a fantasy. The how to make 6 figures in 30 days videos are feeding you pure poison. They tell you that money is freedom. They tell you that luxury is status. They tell you that if you just work 18 hours a day, buy their course, and manifest your millions, you will finally be happy. That is not financial freedom. That is financial slavery. And you are currently building your own cage. When you obsess over acquiring wealth, you are screaming to the world that you are empty. You are declaring that what you have is not enough, that who you are is not enough. You are handing your peace of mind over to a volatile market and asking a spreadsheet to decide if you are allowed to sleep tonight. That is not power. It is a slow death sentence. And the worst part is that the system can smell your hunger. The algorithms can smell your desperation. They feed you the next trend, the next coin, the next life-changing strategy. And you consume it all, running faster and faster on a treadmill that never stops, hoping that one day you will finally run far enough to feel safe. But safety never comes. Because your hunger is bottomless. So stop chasing. Stop grinding yourself into dust. Stop trying to buy your way out of your own insignificance. From this moment on, you are stepping off the wheel. You are retiring from the church of endless consumption. I want you to become completely immune to the illusion of riches. I want you to discover the terrifying, magnetic truth of Stoic abundance. You are exhausted because you have made money your god. You wake up and check your portfolio. It's down. Your mood plummets. You check your bank account. It's not where you want it to be. Your chest tightens. You spend your days working a job that drains your soul, trading your irreplaceable hours for green paper. Then you spend that paper on things you don't need, to impress people you don't even like, to fill a void that only grows wider. You check your notifications to see if your hustle is validated. You analyze your competitors. You stay awake at night, recalculating your exit number, wondering when you can finally start living. Look at yourself. You are a sovereign human being, yet you are being puppeted by numbers on a screen. You are allowing a bank balance to dictate whether you are a master or a beggar today. You have turned your mind into a marketplace. Anyone can walk in, change the prices of your happiness, and walk out. And you just stand there, paying the tax on their opinions, hoping the rent doesn't go up tomorrow. Modern self-help tells you to adopt an abundance mindset. They tell you to visualize luxury cars. They tell you to practice high-income skill sets and master the laws of leverage. But those are just decorative chains on a prisoner. If you need $10 million to feel secure, you are not secure. If you need a luxury watch to feel valuable, you are already bankrupt. And the illusion of wealth always cracks under pressure. You've tried the side hustles. You've tried the savings plans. You've tried the extreme budgeting. And yet, you are still anxious. Still waiting. Still feeling like your real life is always just one more paycheck away. The reason you are failing to find freedom is simple. You are trying to solve an internal deficit with an external surplus. And in the laws of human nature, the person who needs the most is always the poorest. This is not a sermon on poverty. It is a lesson in supreme leverage. When you push desperately for money, you signal to everyone that you can be bought. When you show the world you are desperate for gold, you hand them the rope to tie you down. I don't want you to learn how to make money better. I want you to lose the vulnerability of needing it entirely. I want you to reach a point where a financial loss doesn't even register as a threat. Where a bad quarter doesn't ruin your weekend, it just refines your strategy. where the promise of millions doesn't make you bend your values because your integrity is already priceless. The moment you truly stop being controlled by your desires is the exact moment you become dangerous. Because a person who cannot be bought, bribed, or intimidated by poverty is the most terrifying and magnetic force in any room. If you are ready to stop begging for financial security, if you are ready to step out of the rat race and build an empire of iron character, then understand this. This channel is not for the comfortable. It is for the few who are willing to trade their golden handcuffs for absolute reality. Subscribe now. Not to help me hit a milestone, but to give yourself a daily checkpoint of mental sovereignty. To remind yourself that your greed is a slow-acting poison and your discipline is the only cure. Join this small circle of the unshakable. Because the truth of true abundance is too heavy for the greedy to hold. 2,000 years ago, Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in the known world. He owned vast estates. He had millions of sesterces. He was the advisor to the Emperor of Rome. By modern standards, he had won the game. But he did not worship his balance sheet. He knew it was a guest that could leave at any second. Every month, Seneca would spend a few days practicing voluntary poverty. He would wear rough, cheap clothing. He would eat nothing but stale bread and drink only water. He would sleep on the hard ground. And he would ask himself, "Is this the condition that I feared?" He understood a brutal, beautiful truth. The fear of losing wealth is a far worse prison than poverty itself. Look at the average rich person today. They have the private jets, the high-rise apartments, the designer clothes. But they are absolute slaves. They are terrified of losing their status. They are stressed about taxes, worried about inflation, and paranoid about competitors. They are constantly altering their opinions, smiling at people they despise, and compromising their morals just to keep their seats at the table. They are weak. And our culture worships this weakness. A culture that tells you that net worth equals self-worth, even when that net worth is driving people to depression and suicide. The Stoics did not worship money. They mastered it. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome. He literally owned the treasury of the empire. If he wanted luxury, he could have bathed in gold. Yet, he chose to sleep on a simple soldier's cot. He wore plain wool robes. He looked at his massive wealth and saw it for what it truly was. He wrote in his journal, "Receive wealth without arrogance, and be ready to let it go." The ruler of the Western world had to constantly remind himself not to let his luxury soften his mind. Because he knew that the moment he became dependent on his comfort, he lost his crown. Not his golden crown, but his sovereignty over his own soul. The Stoic concept of wealth is not about being a starving ascetic who hates money. It is not about self-flagellation. It is about what they called adiaphora, the indifferent things. Money, property, and fame are preferred indifferents. It is objectively better to have them than to not have them. It is nicer to be warm than cold. It is easier to be fed than hungry. But they do not make you a better human. They do not add a single millimeter to your moral character. And they certainly do not protect you from the storms of life. When you master this, your entire relationship with money shifts. You no longer enter a business meeting hoping they accept your offer. You enter the room knowing that your value doesn't change regardless of whether the deal is signed. This is the ultimate paradigm shift. Most people think financial freedom is about achieving a certain number in their bank account. They think they have to force themselves to save, force themselves to invest, force themselves to hustle. That is exhausting. And it is fragile. It's like trying to build a dam out of sand. Eventually, the tide of your desires rises, the dam breaks, and you spend everything you saved on a luxury vacation to escape the stress of saving. We aren't building dams. We are moving to higher ground. This is a matter of identity, not effort. You must shift your identity from a seeker of wealth to a source of value. A seeker is empty. They think the market owes them a living. They show up with their hands out, asking for profit, begging for opportunities. They are dependent on external conditions to survive. If the economy is good, they thrive. If the economy crashes, they drown. A source is different. A source is an asset. They do not need the market to make them valuable, they bring value to the market. They focus on their skills, their character, their discipline, and their relentless output. They flow regardless of the financial weather. When you are the source, you do not need a massive bank balance to feel secure. Your security is your capability. Your wealth is your character. And when you stop needing the money to validate your existence, something strange happens. The money starts chasing you. This is not magic. It is simple market physics. Capital flows away from desperation, and it gravitates toward competence and indifference. The most valuable person in any negotiation is always the one who can walk away without blinking. How do you implement the Stoic wealth secret? You do it by changing what you value. Stop valuing the prize. Start valuing the performance. When you start a business, the success is not in the exit valuation. The success is in the daily discipline of your execution, the quality of your product, and your refusal to cut corners. If the business makes millions, fine. If it fails, fine. Your character remains intact, and your capability has only increased. When you make an investment, the goal is not to double your money tomorrow. The goal is to test your judgment, manage your risk, and practice patience. If the market goes up, great. If it drops, great. You paid a tuition fee to learn a lesson in emotional control. You do not have time to cry over market corrections. You have an empire of personal capability to build. Even if that empire is just the unshakable fortress inside your own mind. This is what modern society hates. They want you to be an anxious consumer. They want you to feel poor, because a poor-feeling person is easy to sell to. An anxious person buys the courses, the luxury cars, the premium subscriptions, the status symbols. An anxious person is easily manipulated by debt. But a self-contained person? You can't sell a status symbol to a person who already knows they are the prize. You can't control a person who is perfectly content with plain bread and a hard bed. The fear of being poor is the ultimate chain. It makes you tolerate disrespectful bosses. It makes you work 40 years at a job you hate. It makes you compromise your morals for a quick payday. Break the chain. Accept the possibility of having nothing. Embrace it. Build a mind that is so rich, so disciplined, and so focused that if you lost everything tomorrow, you would look at the ruins of your life, smile, and say, "Watch me rebuild it." Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." You are imagining that if you stop chasing money, you will become lazy. You are imagining that if you don't stress about your wealth, you will fail. But the opposite is true. When you chase money out of fear, you make emotional, short-sighted decisions. You take bad deals, you trust the wrong partners, and you sell your long-term potential for short-term survival. Go back to your territory. Rebuild your foundations. Focus on your skill, your body, and your mental fortress. Make your value so undeniable that the world has no choice but to pay you. And if they don't? Indifference. If you lose your wealth? Indifference. If you are betrayed in business, indifference. You do not punish yourself with anger. Anger in business is a confession of weakness. Anger means they successfully stole your peace of mind, which is worth more than any transaction. The truly rich man is not the one with the most assets. It is the one with the fewest dependencies. When you are indifferent to the luxuries of life, you have a massive competitive advantage. Your burn rate is low. Your mind is clear. Your risk tolerance is infinite. You can survive winters that would freeze your competitors to death. You can stay in the game longer, think clearer, and act bolder. This is the invincibility of the Stoics. They did not avoid the market. They dominated it because they were the only ones who weren't afraid of losing their shirts. Stop being a slave to your bank account. Become the source. The source doesn't ask the economy for permission to be wealthy. The source doesn't care if the market is bull or bear. It just continues to produce, to solve, and to build. Cold. Silent. Immovable. And eventually, the economic seasons change. And the source is still standing. The next time you feel the panic of scarcity rising, the next time you feel the urge to buy something you can't afford, to take a shortcut, or to compromise your standards for a quick buck, stop. Breathe. Look at your hands. Remember who you are. Remember the ancestors who built civilizations out of raw dirt without a single credit card. Do you really think they survived wars, famines, and migration so you could stress over your credit score? Kill the fear. Turn off the screen. And go do something hard. Go build your skills. Go refine your character. Go master your focus. Put your energy into the only asset class that has a guaranteed return on investment. Your own mind. The stock market will crash. Currencies will inflate. Real estate will bubble. The only stable currency in existence is your character and your capability. Invest there. And watch how quickly the world's power dynamics tilt in your favor. When they see that you cannot be bribed with luxury, they will respect your terms. When they see that you cannot be frightened by loss, they will seek your leadership. When they see that you do not need their gold, they will realize you have something far more valuable. But by then, you won't even care about their opinions of your wealth. Because you will have discovered the greatest secret of all. That the richest man in the world is not the one who owns the empire. It is the one who does not need it. Stop begging the market for freedom. Start building it inside yourself. You are the source. Act like it. And let the money chase you for a change. The era of your financial desperation is over. The time of your mental sovereignty has begun. Your mind is your kingdom. Govern it with iron. Or watch it fall. The crown is on your head. Do not sell it for pennies.